All right, I will call this meeting to order on November 6th, 8:05 AM and I'm the board member here. So we got GAOA.
Director information. The
So,
board asked me to get information for you, which we've given to you, Sean, so you've been able to read to help inform our adjustments.
yeah,
Thoughts?
and so for the record, last meeting, we had concerns that this policy change would affect our ability to put student athletes or other activities, grades and whatnot in programs, as well as with the newspaper or public celebrations such as our recognitions we do each month for all the various activities that students do. The response from OSBA is that while there is some concerns, ODE has given guidance that that is not the case. And since ODE is the regulatory agency, this is OSBA's opinion, then we would be fine to continue as is. Obviously, any directory information, parents have the opportunity to opt out, and I believe that's on their annual registration paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, it is.
Okay.
So the recommendation, if I'm hearing you correctly, Sean, is to leave the policy as is or take this forward with.
So leave as is. What do you mean by that?
Because now I'm getting a little lost with our discussion. So are we forwarding the recommendation from OSBA as suggested here, or are there amendments to what they're suggesting and that's the changes?
I would say let's move it forward as suggested, but I will probably go over the concerns and then maybe as a board we can discuss whether we want to adopt this policy or keep it as is, because it is while it is a very important point in time with this, it is a point in time.
It is.
So
Yep.
that is a concern.
So we will forward to a work session as is.
The gray, right? Adding the gray.
Yeah,
Okay.
with all suggestions.
record.
Sean will update.
That one for
Sean will update the board with the information from OSBA and our concerns as a policy committee, and then we'll discuss. Okay.
It was just very stuffy. Yeah.
So Chris, just to review, remember that directory
Yeah,
policy?
yeah, I
whatever.
saw that one in here.
We got the opinion from OSBA and they do have the same concerns that we had. However, they responded that ODE is the governing body and ODE says that we can continue as is, even though there's concerns with, if we have this restrictive of a policy, can we really follow it by? Yeah.
Well, and on some of it, because I was thinking about this one as well, are parents easily informed that they can have no information? It's been a while since I've had kids in school, mostly high school kids that.
It's in their research review of paperwork every year.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And
They
so,
have to click on it.
yeah,
So is
For
it
them
something
to
that you have
forward.
to do it each year then?
Yeah.
It's a
So you
field,
have
it's
to
a mandatory field.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So parents can still say, no, I don't want this
They can.
without it just being an automatic.
Mhm.
They can say, no, I don't want to have the kid
Yeah.
stuff out there, or if they
Yeah.
change and they
But-
don't want to
but
have their
the-
kid stuff out there.
in my opinion, it's almost the reverse concern now, where there is
So little
so little
information.
information, like we need to maybe,
Yeah,
can I opt into having my information? It's like, because I don't know, I just find this policy really hard to follow, given all of, I mean, they're traditions, right?
Yeah.
That we have, and all schools and school districts have of like, hey, we're celebrating this drama kid who,
Yeah.
did really
Senior
well, senior,
all
yeah.
that stuff. And you put it out there.
So,
And unfortunately, it's a different world
yeah,
and what we all grew up in or had our kids in, where information is
Yeah.
valuable, powerful, and dangerous in their own hands. So I get it, trying to protect students, and it may be one of those where we just are not
Yeah.
as able to do.
Well, the other concern, to be frank, is that this is in response to ICE stuff, but that, as valid as that is, it is a point in time.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so are we creating this very restrictive policy for a short period of time? Objectively, whether it's 4 years or whatever.
But was this came to us before there was a lot of it wasn't in place
It says,
necessarily, or is this?
This really isn't.
Sorry,
Circular.
if you're getting smaller print, John, I'm
sorry.
so good job.
The
Good
last-
job.
Spencer.
Yeah,
From Spencer's,
All right, well,
yeah.
I can get on Spencer.
it's the
Um,
top red line up here.
He's clear that this is in response to ICE.
well, the top red line doesn't say anything about that. Outside entities. Oh, there we go, specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when he said, I asked him, are these changes related to concern about cybersecurity? He said, I believe the changes were focused on immigration enforcement, not cybersecurity.
okay. And prior to what's currently going on, were there other issues around immigration status for students?
Not for
This
students,
has
no.
just become a bigger,
Not for students.
out of control issue.
So anyways, my suggestion is we move this on as is, but then have a discussion with the board as far as like our concerns with the gray zone and
Mhm.
whether we do want to just keep our current policy or
Mhm.
make these adjustments.
With also making sure that parents know that
Correct.
they can. And can parents pick and choose which parts of this they want? I mean, that
No.
gets really hard. It's either all or nothing, right? Because otherwise it's a
And then
nightmare,
tracking and
right? And they go to another grade and then you've got to update everything for
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll give an example though, that comes up a lot for me is, our PTCs and PTOs.
Yes.
Very, very well meaning. Sometimes when we're doing a fundraiser, we'll say, can you give us everybody's
Yeah.
name and address? And I say, no.
I
What you
mean, to send
can,
notices out. for
yeah, like
fundraising.
we will do the mailing,
Yeah,
right? You give us the materials rather than turning over a full list of all.
yeah,
Mhm,
information to-
mhm.
And we know that it's not the person that's asking for it, but should that ever end up somewhere,
yeah,
we don't want that kind of information out there widely.
yeah. One, I'm sure they're thinking, well, we don't want to bother you guys.
Oh, completely.
You know,
No, they're wonderful, but I think we're just saying like, those are precautions,
Yeah.
like you were saying, we wouldn't have been as
Mhm.
worried about before, but
Yeah.
it is different now.
Mhm.
Well, and I think even, before, if you had the information, because we didn't have I'm old enough, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have ready access to really doing things with the information. And so it was printed and you used it and then we don't know what someone did with it after that, but it's just become, it's valuable, the information valuable. Okay, I agree, Sean, let's just bring it forward. The board can
That
decide.
we worked on, but never got sent in, or did, but they didn't post it,
That's right.
and that's
this is
okay
the-
with the
okay,
weird
with the-
Okay.
format.
Yeah, got
Okay,
it. Thank you. I
okay.
appreciate that. I was like,
Okay.
wait a minute.
Okay,
And then we struck out the naming of the very specific,
Yes.
yeah,
Is this on version 2?
the second of the version twos.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Newer one,
Yeah.
got it.
When we present this to the board, is it possible
so
to
which, so
like
if I still.
identify these somehow, like just on the print, like
On the top.
previously adopted, but not included,
Not submitted.
not submitted, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
'Cause
this
it's
was
very
what was in the packet, is this not what you're
So-
looking at?
This is the one that we
Right.
approved, but
Right.
never was officially
Right,
uploaded.
right.
This is the new one.
that had a
Oh,
weird.
on the back here,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Okay,
So the new version 2.
Is yours all grayed out?
because when I print it on home, it
Oh,
doesn't,
I have.
I don't print it on it doesn't print with the green. I don't
Oh,
waste my green ink on.
yes.
I have a question,
Yeah.
this one with the cross out
Yeah.
at the top, there's still hard brackets up here. Did those come off because we already agreed to that being the language?
At the very first paragraph,
Mhm.
and those materials should be inclusive of populations represented in a global society.
Did
That's
those
inside the
brackets get
bracket.
dropped? Did we already agree to that?
No, because they didn't want to proceed with this one until the format got edited a
Fixed.
little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I just added the green,
yeah.
that's there, that's the one that they did
Okay.
decide, but the rest wasn't decided.
Although it looks like we did adopt it on the previous one, so maybe that's why it's not greened.
That's good.
Cause it looks like, there was a choice there at one point, right? And maybe that was the choice, so that was my question.
Well, it was, and what we discovered, what Chris found out last time was that second bracketed, which we adopted as
Uh-huh.
well, is somewhere down
Mhm.
in here.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
I'm not
I
quite
remember
sure.
it now, that it's reiterative, it says it's more,
mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
okay.
so yeah, we've previously have adopted that bracket.
Okay.
So everything from the proposed is on the new one, except on page 2, there's a library materials. That's not on the previously adopted.
Is that where the quote school library means any collection of library
Library
material?
materials includes educational or literary materials. That paragraph, I could not find it in the proposed,
Oh, okay.
but other than that, everything
Okay.
is somewhere in the
Okay.
new one. Is that?
Well, okay, so I do have a question about this.
Yep.
I'm a teacher. I buy my own books.
Mhm.
I have them available for my kids in the classroom. Do they have to, you know, really make sure that it follows all of these things? Like, instead of having two books that they really like for kids to read, are they gonna have to have 50 some odd books to cover all of this
In a classroom.
in a
library.
classroom library? Because that
That's a good
really
question.
restricts.
So help me making sure, you mean to cover kind of the breadth of the representation?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And would need to have a more robust collection than maybe.
and they're spending their own money on their
Mhm.
classroom library, which has never really kind of fell into this.
Yeah, I wonder if that is covered here. This policy is not intended to cover classroom activities.
Where does it say
And
that?
it's right in the first page.
It's just classroom activities, it doesn't say
Paragraph.
classroom library.
But then if you go
Um,
to school library, it means any collection of library materials made available to students
page is
at
that?
the,
Where-
Or maybe the classroom library ones isn't.
right up here. It's page 2, kind of the fourth paragraph down. Right here.
Okay.
Means any collection of library materials made available to students at school, either at a central location or at a common area for one grade or more.
One grade or more
Oh, okay.
for a
Through an
grade,
online,
yeah.
so if the grade level teachers, like the 5th grade teachers, wanted to have a central location for all their books.
So here's my quick search, and it's an AI search, so
Yeah,
it
of course.
doesn't have the reference. I plugged in, is a classroom library the same as a school library in
Yeah.
Oregon? The answer is no. A classroom
Mhm.
library is not the same as school library. A classroom library is a small teacher managed collection of books with this within a single classroom, while a school library is a larger centralized location. So it says no, doesn't really.
Isn't that the final paragraph here though?
Yeah.
Classroom library materials?
That
Oh,
there.
did you find it? in
Any
there?
At the
collection,
very,
it's-
very, very end.
It's, well, it's in the middle of this also, what it
It
means.
defines it.
Oh, no
But it
formal
doesn't
selection.
says no formal selection procedure.
But we can add that in, it's
Right.
in the brackets.
Right,
Mhm.
Where's that?
It's, so if you look at classroom library materials at the, oh, no, good, no, keep going, next page,
Next page.
and.
And I'll look up
Here.
section.
so this all request for reconsider, is that sort of along the lines of a complaint?
There are specific, I'd have to look at our policy ARs, but there are usually specific forms someone can fill out to request an exclusion.
Mhm.
From a classroom library, a school library, or whatever, and then that typically there's a committee.
But with,
Yeah.
cause with school library, it's a much more formal process. Someone can't
Mm-hmm.
just say, it has to have a committee then that looks at it, they look at it, there has to be reason.
Yeah.
There has to be comment. With the classroom library,
Is it the
Um,
same?
well, and I guess as well, because it's a classroom library, how do parents know what's in that
They
library.
wouldn't necessarily,
They won't.
no,
Okay.
And that's been tradition, I mean,
Yeah.
forevermore that it's.
and I don't know that would even be.
Right, and I'm just saying, tradition now has people who get concerned
Correct.
about books.
Yeah.
And people who misread information online about books.
Mhm.
And teachers are trying to present a balance and to get the kids to think and
Yeah.
get the kids to be well-rounded citizens. I don't want their classroom library to be scrubbed clean because some person said, I don't want my kid reading that book. That's fabulous. I don't want to deny it for the other 28 kids.
I think this covers that.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially if we adopt that language of with no formal selection procedure.
And you could put in at the bottom that all requests for reconsideration of class and library materials may be considered under administrative regulation 2A AR, because that's our policy for reconsideration of curriculum anyway.
Okay,
So
Okay.
it follows where we are.
Mhm.
It's not a
Okay.
complaint procedure, it's a separate procedure.
Yeah, that's that.
And that way, if a parent had a concern, they just go to the principal and we start talking.
and
about
it wouldn't be the whole, I want to take a book out of the
Well,
library.
that's what the section 2 of Senate Bill 1098 is.
Mhm,
That prohibits discriminatory, bans.
mhm.
School board administrator or anyone responsible for curriculum development may not prohibit the use of instructional materials based on the material's inclusion of a
Mhm.
perspective or content related to a protected class. So that's a fairly new bill, this year. So, it prevents the removal of books or materials solely because the author is from a particular background or because the story makes someone uncomfortable.
Good catch.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's in that
Okay.
bill, which
Okay.
I also think there were in my last district, one way that we kind of help to support parents to feel more comfortable is, yes, they could come and look at the collection anytime they wanted. And yes, they could, if it was a younger child, like middle school, sometimes there were books that they were worried, they were like, I want this book to be on a cannot check out list.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's tough to monitor, but I think there are also ways of letting parents know, these are the books your kids have out right now, or, if you just wanna be aware of what your child's reading, there's ways that we can do that.
And then
So there's some ability.
So,
But I do like the fact that it's kind of a two-pronged. One is that the teacher has the ability to select
Yes.
if we put that in no formal, but then also the parent has the right
Mhm.
to voice a concern and there's a
Absolutely.
process in place.
Yep.
And so I think if we adopt both of those bracketed
Yeah.
languages,
Yeah,
as well as adopt the bracketed and the,
Supplemental. and
Supplemental
school
Are
library.
we
Yeah.
working off of the one that they never posted for us or the proposed one? that they
The proposed.
I'm looking at the proposed.
The second. Wait a
Because
minute,
I don't know that everyone is.
Oh, I was
We're
looking
look-
at the proposed.
I'm looking at the new version
the
too.
new version,
That's
yeah.
what they
Yeah.
proposed.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
is
that one
this the
says
one that came
proposed
from
on it.
OSBA or is this
Yes.
the one that we never?
Oh, sorry, I
I
got the
don't
wrong
know,
page.
that
There we
never got
go.
posted.
Well, I printed it front and back because I thought it was the
Because
same.
we do need
So-
something that does.
Proposed ones.
Yeah,
We don't have a proposed on our deal, it doesn't say proposed.
Okay.
Because I thought proposed is what OSBA was sending us. So this is the one that's the newest version from OSBA. that we
I believe
That's the
that's-
newest version, but I didn't wanna put proposed because y'all always get mixed up. So I just wanted to have them separate, but this is the one that never got posted. That's the one that they.
And we're working off that new one. Yes.
This is
So
a
it
very
took so long to
confusing.
get,
It
it took
is.
so long to get posted, it changed.
Yep.
That's a good sign of a policy, right?
Yeah. So if I'm summarizing this, it seems that people are accepting, well, first paragraph. Do we want to accept that bracket on the first paragraph of the first page?
Yes. I
Yeah.
think we accepted it at in the previous policy, so.
Good. So we say accept. And then, are we good with
Yes.
the striking of the second paragraph of all that, cause it's in the law
Yeah,
anyway?
and the second and third, yeah.
That second and third,
Okay,
good,
okay.
good. And then we're going down to the fifth, that bracket there says this policy is not intended to cover classroom activities. Are we good with accepting that bracket?
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
Yep. And then page 2 didn't seem to have many amendments at all.
Oh, yeah, it just has the bracket,
Oh, thank you.
Brackets, yeah.
Brackets.
Yep.
the district may choose independently adopt work which are not on the state approved list using the state approved
Right.
specs. Well, I mean, I would hate for every library book to have to go through.
Yeah, I think, I like the bracket of accepting that, cause it does give us some independence, it just, we
Yeah.
use their guidance on how we do it.
Well, and I
So
think the
which-
emphasis, so.
There's
the-
lots of brackets and stuff,
Yeah.
so starting in core instructional materials, superintendent or designee.
Mhm.
What's that? You have to have designated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
Every
accept,
time
I
for
recommend
not being
accepting
available.
designee.
And then procedures will provide
Okay.
for involvement of administrative staff, parents, students in brackets. And community members.
Students.
Where are we seeing that at?
I'm not sure what.
It's in the
that
first
is.
paragraph
Just
under
under,
core
yeah.
instructional material.
I
The
like-
next sentence under designee.
I like including students, we do it anyway, on core
Okay.
adoption of materials.
So it's no harm. to-
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
cause you do get the students are involved in the,
Yeah.
The process.
the
piece.
process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I recommend accepting that.
How does that affect our curriculum it doesn't affect our curriculum.
doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Okay, so I didn't wanna
Yeah,
put something in
they were
there.
already-
that-
And,
Yep.
and as part of, I mean, the whole sort of overlay over all of this is that there's supplemental material.
Yeah.
So it's not material that a child a student is ever required to read. They can suggest, they can say, here, we'd like you to do this. If you have some reason that you cannot, we'll substitute a different book. But it's not like it's the math book that says, this is the math book. We're gonna use
Correct.
this book. Compared to the big library, which if there's a book in there,
Well, keep in mind, this
and
is,
then classroom,
This is,
this is core instructional
this is
material,
core.
this is core adoption.
this is that.
so
big-
we're,
Library is just part of this.
right, it's just part of it. It's
So-
just part of it.
That, we're in that core
So we're
instructional
in-
materials adoption, so
Yeah.
involving students in a core adoption.
Right, so
Language
that's the
art.
core adoption,
Yeah.
but that's not, sorry, I was
Yeah.
still stuck on the library part.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
So I think including students, cause we
Yes.
do that already,
yes,
when I
Oh,
look,
the adoption of
Um,
textbooks for American history of government by the board.
where's?
Why is
this?
that specifically called out?
where.
Okay, wait a minute.
For the same
The
reason. we
district
have
will
to fly the
review core
flags all over.
instructional materials in accordance with the state, I'm looking at the second paragraph.
Yeah, each corners,
Each core instruction will be reviewed on a 7-year cycle.
Well, that's the adoption cycle, but I
But do
don't
we
think
want to
that-
actually
don't
put that
put it
in policy because,
we
Because then
often
if-
will ask for an extension
yeah,
Right.
because of budget and other reasons. Sometimes the
There's not a
standards
book
haven't been
ready.
adopted yet, right?
Mhm.
They're gonna be adopted next year, so to pause is smart.
so how about we strike that?
I
I'd take
agree.
that out too.
Cause I don't wanna put us in a like bind.
And then let me.
And
look
Can we
at
just say they will be
over
reviewed?
6%.
Yeah, that's, yeah, you don't have to adopt
Yep.
that.
Yeah,
How about
Okay.
the on a 7-year cycle? Are you guys?
we're striking
that's
that,
striking
Yeah,
that.
not accepting that.
And resulting record will be issued by district administrator, where all recommended core instruction.
The reason it specifically says American history and government is just because of that ORS is specific to American history and government.
So it's calling it out.
So they're just saying this particular law governs that for instructional material.
Because of the new civics requirement?
And I'm looking at it, textbooks on American history and government.
Textbooks by the board and any committee shall be done in a manner. I don't know, in some ways I like to be specific, but in other ways I like to be really broad, like, do we?
but if it's in the ORS,
It's
And the
already in
ORS is written there.
Yeah, and
but are they gonna go look it up, or is that? Again, is it just helping someone understand? Yes, it's in.
I could go 50-50 on that one, it's just.
Oh, I know why.
Why?
This is the mandatory Holocaust education. And that was a bill, and then I'm guessing, I'm looking. They write laws, they have time to write laws like this all the time, apparently.
That's
Offering
what I
instruction that
understand.
meets academic content standards for basically diploma requirements, so that's probably the civics part.
Yeah, probably the new Holocaust of the civics
The
requirement.
Holocaust bill is specifically called out,
Mhm.
but it's also largely just about textbooks and other instructional materials have to adequately address the roles and contributions to the economic, political, and social development of Oregon and the United States by men and women who are Native American, of European, African, Asian, Pacific Islander, Chicano, Latino, Middle Eastern, or Jewish descent, have disabilities, are immigrants or refugees, or are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or gender.
Which is all in that 337.2.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
the law.
statute, that's the law.
Mhm, mhm.
So I guess the question is, do we want to add the specific, like, hey, this is about American history and government, or can we just state we have to abide by this law?
I don't know, are we restricting ourselves by saying that it's a American history and government?
I
because
don't
it's-
think we are, but I'm kind of with you. I can go one way or another. We don't
The
need all
law is only
words, the
about that.
laws there. And it doesn't hurt to have the words in there.
You make the decision, Chris.
I rather like it there,
Okay.
so that someone can't
Fair.
say we're not
But-
doing it. And then if they wanna know more about it, we can refer them to the ORS, but I kind of like having it again for an environment
Yep.
where.
Hmm.
Trust isn't real high with education systems right
Yep.
now, so
Fair
I'd
enough.
rather say, yes, look, we are.
We'll accept that bracket. Do we accept the bracket at the bottom of the paragraph? Cause we've accepted it everywhere else.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
requests, yep.
Yeah. Yes,
That's, I think that's just a standard.
Yep.
yeah,
The district may choose to independently adopt core materials which are not on the state approved list using state approved selection criteria.
Right.
That's a bracket
Right.
deal.
yes,
Okay,
And that.
because
might
we've done that
change.
before,
Yeah.
right?
Didn't we just hear that in our COSA meeting though, that could change where, or maybe I heard it somewhere else, that they are maybe gonna require that the materials are adopted by the state of Oregon, but they're gonna drop the fee?
they are
When it
considering
happens,
that,
when
but
it happens, we'll change the
yeah,
policy.
yeah,
That's
let's
what I
just
know.
keep it for now.
Yeah,
Well, they won't post this one, so we could change it. Three,
Yeah.
versions that we're gonna be,
More brackets.
Yep.
on
Yeah.
We're going,
three.
yeah, oh,
so page 3, we had decided on supplemental instructional materials, well, we didn't talk about the brackets at the top. Or in that first sentence, it says all supplemental instructional materials will be selected by teachers, principals, librarians, and others as determined appropriate. Which
Yeah.
may not be through any formal selection procedure
So for supplemental.
for
Yeah.
supplemental.
so that means we can pick anybody to be on the committee, and it doesn't have to be someone that applies to be on the committee. Is
That's
that, is that
basically what it
basically
says.
what it says?
And it doesn't have to be that formal selection.
Right,
process.
right, doesn't have to be approved by the
For
board or something like that,
what did we
but
approve?
that's the committee.
Yeah, what did we approve last? That's a good question.
On the one that they didn't post, you mean?
Mhm.
We did say, we did
We
adopt
said, we
that.
said no
Yep.
formal selection procedure.
So, let's adopt
Okay.
it.
All right,
So,
That's under.
okay,
adopt.
and then on that same paragraph, the reconsider for supplemental is considered under the complaint.
I think all of those are,
All
Yeah.
three.
Yeah, yeah,
There's one other bracket in classroom library materials. It's, all classroom library materials will be selected by a classroom teacher and or others with no formal selection procedure.
Correct.
That's, did we agree to adopt
Yeah.
that? Okay, then I'm being
Is that
redundant.
okay?
Yep.
I
Sean?
think
Well, if
so.
there's
It's the
no
one where
formal
the
procedure
teacher
on
can say-
supplemental,
I
why
think
wouldn't
that's
there
what
be?
we adopted last
Yeah.
time,
yeah,
or no, we didn't. Oh, wait, we did.
I don't, was
Did
it
we?
in there?
Okay,
With
all
no
right.
formal.
And then all requests for reconsideration are under.
Yep.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay,
so we are forwarding this with those recommendations to the
Yes.
next work session. Do I have that correct? Okay.
yes,
Yep.
yes,
And only forward this motion.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you,
Okay.
please.
all right.
We don't want to confuse the board.
Well, if we were all
Okay.
confused enough.
Although I will
Okay.
say, maybe have it in your back pocket in case, like, there's like some concern about the bracket language, we're like, oh, well, we adopted it before,
Okay,
you know,
Yeah.
because
if needed, I am writing that down then. Okay,
board is Photoshop. I completed my training twice.
did you?
I was like, I don't
you
like getting
forget?
those emails, right? And so I did it for work and I did it for.
For-
So you did it here, even though,
Yeah,
Is that-
next time just tell me and we can go in and click that you've done it.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
because last time I forwarded, like 2 years ago, I forwarded it to you and I kept getting those emails. I'm like, that's.
We'll get you clicked.
They
this
gave me
time.
access, so actually, I didn't have access before, so now I can go in and say, yes, they've done it.
Take you twice in 1 year, exempt you from the next year.
There you go.
I wish.
Or it's like
Well,
my
maybe
staff asked, like, can we just like do a proficiency exam every year and not have to?
Yes,
okay, so this seems like it's pretty,
Yes.
it does, it's straightforward.
That doesn't have to be an oral report,
Make a report.
so it sounds like we can send an email.
You
Is what
can,
it's
but,
basically
our
saying.
policy, well, and what we do is you have to call the child abuse line. So
Well,
kinda
but
what-
this
that
is,
would
we're
be-
striking
We're
saying you
striking
don't.
that.
But that's the only it's the only way. You can't just email people a child abuse deal. You have to.
Then maybe we shouldn't strike that.
Uh,
Cause I have called before.
Mhm.
I had a situation where I
Mhm.
did call and I called DHS.
I don't know if there's a way to even email them to report, is there?
So to me, you could strike this because they don't have the ability to email. No matter what they're saying is, there is only one way. to
So it
report.
just says make a report.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Make a report.
And right now the report is,
Got you.
and,
Mhm.
and I don't remember where I got the phone number. Did someone here? Maybe
We have it on the form when you ask for it. I think it's
Oh.
also on our website.
Yeah.
Could be on the website. I found it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, and the process really is when you call, somebody won't answer, they'll take down the
Oh, yeah.
pertinent information
Yeah.
and then you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing I would be concerned about here is, and they don't, I mean, you just have to call, that's it. Our policy is call within 24 hours of notice.
Yep, shall make a report through GHS.
Mhm.
And then.
I mean,
of
we
course-
could put in a timely manner. That's
Well,
always the
but in a
catch-all,
timely
but
manner, like, what's
Well,
the
yeah, what
definition
is
of a
it?
timely
Yeah,
manner?
anybody can.
2
say
years
that,
from
but
now,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
Okay.
I have no concerns with this
Okay.
policy,
okay.
so if we're,
And then must contain as much information as we have,
yes.
if no, okay.
Yeah,
Advisor committee, so this is the one for the equity advisory committee, correct?
I believe so. If I-
And
Yep,
the state's been back and forth on this a little bit. Cause remember, it was advisory to the superintendent and, or it's to the board and now it's.
Now it's to the
mostly
superintendent. Mhm.
Okay,
Or for community, I like that language better.
mm-hmm.
Process for the appointment.
It really does adjust to all the things the legislature said.
To a statement with this responsibility. I think it's just more cleanup language, really.
Yep, I agree. Wow,
And it defines the duties, which is good.
yeah, that's all pretty new.
So the only other part in it that I saw that I'm not sure how other information is sent on the, under the Education Equity Committee,
Mhm.
under number 2, informing the board, and then there's a sentence, they may prepare an annual report that contains the following. What if they don't? What if they prepare a report every 5 years? I mean, I'm being facetious,
Yeah.
but
That's what the May is though.
I know.
They may.
But
or they-
then, but then they are working with the superintendent. It could be the superintendent that relays the information versus the
Mhm.
equity committee, and so it does provide some.
It does.
Cause I think it lets whoever needs to know what is being discussed, progress that's being made, areas of concern.
Is that an area for agreements with the superintendent and the board? We'd like an update every year or that type of thing. as
That could
opposed to
be.
Policy.
That could be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe you want like a quarterly. check-in that's
Nope,
left detailed.
nope,
That'd be
nope.
We can get enough check-ins, yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that it just says may prepare, you may not prepare one then. We may
Yeah.
never get one under this.
Well, my recommendation is when we're discussing this in the work session, because we could forward this, Tracy can weigh in, you guys could have that discussion openly
Mhm.
and see what you'd like to do.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Okay, cause yeah, I'd like there to be a report,
Mhm.
but also keep it at hand's length, that it's through the superintendent, which was what our
Mhm.
desire was, to
Right.
not have it be a public meeting
That's why I think it's
scenario.
beneficial to have a
But then
conversation
to
with
say
her.
may, then it's. How do we ever get the information? And I know we've had, and what does an annual report mean? We had a really great presentation at one of our work sessions.
They've defined what the report is. It will
Do they?
contain the following information.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
It contains,
They prepare an
but is
annual
it,
report that contains the following information, discusses the challenges, recommendations.
so
information
it
required by the
needs,
State board.
so it needs to be available, posted, so it needs to be something written.
when there's a report, yeah.
My question would be that it says it's appointed by the board and the superintendent. Maybe I'm incorrect in my remembering, but I thought it was basically appointed by the staff, what, and not by the board.
It was,
There's like the 2 community members or the community member.
there is,
component.
but what we did was we asked for submissions, Don did this, vetted,
Yeah.
did kind of an interview with people too, hey, what do you
Mhm.
bring to the deal, and then selected from there. I
Mhm.
don't believe that you all were involved in that
No,
process.
so that's, if we adopt this, that's just a step
Well,
that,
and if this is a committee of the superintendent now, the board doesn't. I mean, if it's a superintendent committee, the board doesn't put people on
I-
superintendent committees.
yeah, it just specifically calls
We're
out the
clear
education
from
advisory committee shall be appointed. Maybe that's where the shall. No, shall is more specific.
Shall
rather
is-
than-
Shall is
do it.
specific, yeah.
As opposed to may.
I do think that's confusing, because they
Well-
purposely moved it to the superintendent, not that I have a dog in that fight, so to speak. But
Yeah.
if it's a superintendent's committee, then superintendent should appoint it, but a board report is,
Can we get some?
I mean, that's weird
clarification?
that this is on, that this
Yeah.
thing is on, cause this is advisory committees to the board. It's weird that if they supposedly move this away from being a board advisory committee.
How about we
get clear.
Well, and
get
this
clarification
part
on it?
right here says that you're just potentially approving the process. Like, this is how we're gonna
Where's
do
that?
it.
Where you?
That's on the very first page, so
Yeah.
that's contradictory.
It is contradictory.
So what they've included.
I
on the next
will,
page.
based on this conversation, I will email Spencer and bring it back to this week.
Yeah, because whether or not the appointment just means we accept the recommendations so that it has resources in order to
Yeah,
have the committee, so that there's staff that's available for it.
Yep,
It's a budget item.
so I will get the contradictory,
I don't know if appointed or confirmed or
okay,
approved, I don't know what word.
okay, and then here's the controversial stipend policy.
Yes, I am ready for that.
Ready to fight?
Not at all.
Hmm.
I'm very, it's very simple.
Yeah.
It's super simple. If you don't want it, don't take it.
Yeah.
If you do, do.
does this just reflect the law that was passed 2 sessions ago? Or,
What it has, it's trying to clarify, the conflict of
Government
voting on
ethics
something,
commission.
right,
Mhm.
that, says we can't make a vote on something that we benefit from.
And
And so one of the things that we had talked about, we at the OSBA level, was how could this be changed so that it was a budget item approved by the superintendent kind of thing. The board was not approving a stipend. And
That was like the way that Portland Public did it, cause they just approved this a month ago, or so ago. They voted on each board position individually, and the board member that was in that position recused themselves from the
that's
vote.
interesting.
So they took seven separate votes to approve a stipend for each board position. So then it was the person wasn't voting for themselves, they were voting for other positions.
So it's the position versus the
For the-
person, so that way if
Yeah,
they are no longer, if that person's no longer in that position, the position
That
continues to.
plays out in the
So
policy.
position one, position
So
two,
it's
position
something
three, position four.
Yep,
I'm gonna see thoughts about this.
so is there, the way that Portland did it, does it match what this?
And I haven't read close. enough,
Okay,
so that's why I
okay,
would need to read.
okay.
But I was like, that was the news story I read on them just a month ago. Their last meeting.
Organization for services, board members.
so getting specific, if I'm looking at paragraph 2, well, paragraph 1, no, let's,
So when you're talking about paragraph 1, are you talking about the descriptive part at the very top, or are you
The-
talking about the actual policy?
that's why I was
part?
just getting back to it, so
Got it,
yes.
okay,
There is bracketed information, descriptive policy under the title. Board members like, it starts with board members likely have a potential conflict of interest when voting. That just, to me, it just outlines what the challenge is.
it's just information for us, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily part of the policy. correct?
Yes. Do we need to have that in policy?
I don't know if that becomes a footnote,
Might be.
I mean, we have footnoted
Well, it
things.
does
that
talk
can-
about
It talks
Conflict
about
of
it,
interest in footnote
Right.
1
um,
is similar to what is in that informational paragraph that usually gets deleted.
Yeah, and it talks about, this is the Portland thing, that number 3, end of policy, because board members, when approving an annual, the board may need to approve multiple resolutions.
Mhm.
So that's how Portland did it.
So it sounds like,
So that usually gets dropped, so that's really for our context.
yeah, the squiggly
Mhm.
brackets at the top that dropped out.
Okay,
And isn't there also, I thought on this, that there was, let's see it on here, that there was a maximum allowable amount? Or is it just whatever the budget?
Just as the
Allows.
budget allows.
as a
Because I
budget,
Well,
thought
but there's
originally-
also into stipend amounts are also limited by ORS 332.
I think there is a limit
I
in
think
the
it is
ORS.
500 is the max
Yeah.
per board member.
Sarah's gonna look at, yeah, I thought it was 500 was the maximum.
looking at that first paragraph,
Right.
not the squiggly bracketed one, but the one that starts with board
Uh-huh.
members may receive a stipend for their service in accordance. There's a bracketed, the amount of the stipend is limited to the amount included in the budget. And then the stipend amount will be approved by resolution of the board. My recommendation to all of you would be accept those brackets, obviously a board piece.
Mhm,
That makes it clear for budgeting and makes it clear for the community.
mhm.
And then board members may choose to accept the stipend by notifying the business office. Stipends will be issued, I don't know why bracket, monthly would be bracketed, that's how we do our payroll.
Well, it's because.
Well,
the
because it
district
could be-
may not-
Districts do it
Okay.
twice a month or.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so monthly is how you guys do it,
Mhm.
okay.
It is limited to $500 per month
Mhm,
as adjusted based on changes in the consumer price index. So
Mhm.
it's something that could change over time, but at
Mhm.
this time, it's
Yeah.
$500 a month.
Cause I
Mhm.
think Portland Public is close to like 518 or based on that
Okay.
weird
CPI.
528 or something, I mean, it was some odd.
Because
They-
Portland
they know
has
what the
some
matter
their
is.
taxes and
Yeah.
stuff in there.
Well, and let's presuppose this, that we go off of monthly payroll. And I don't anticipate that ever, like bi-weekly. There is stipends will be paid in accordance with the district's business practices is the next sentence there. That
Mhm.
covers all of that. And we
Right.
might not need them monthly, because
Right.
that's just how we do business.
Although because then if it changed, you'd have to change the policy, but what it does is it alerts someone to,
Mhm.
is this once a year? Is it quarterly?
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
it, you know, so
And
I
I'm not
think if,
opposed to it, I was just.
if
looking at
it's
the
standard
flexibility.
practice,
Yep,
then I think calling it out is okay.
and it's been
I
like
don't think-
35 years that we were doing monthly, I don't anticipate
Mhm.
changes.
Well, it could change tomorrow then,
It
John.
could, you're right.
Okay. We'll just pay people once a year. They can
Oh, that-
budget.
That's a bully.
Okay.
The taxes too for 1 year.
Oh, oh, no, no,
Here's your 1 year check. Have fun with that.
okay.
So is this a policy that we are trying to update, or is this one that's been recommended by OSBA to update?
I think BHD, because it's board member compensation and expense reimbursements, I think we already have that adopted. I'm looking right
I
now,
believe we do.
but
Looks like
because they've added
already
the
in there.
stipend part,
Right,
that's the new.
And so this is OSBA saying we should update this.
You have to declare your conflict of interest.
right.
Yeah, so we have
Okay.
BHD, but it's a much shorter policy that's
Mhm.
just. No board member will receive compensation.
You can
they
get
shall be
reimbursement for-
reimbursed for
Mhm.
approved expenses. Which that stuff is still in there, that's kind of under the grade paragraph, that's what was already in
Well,
there.
and it's right, and it's the paragraph that just has the first sentence, but it talks about will pay for you to go to conferences and things, you know, the district.
Reimbursements, yeah,
Oh,
or reimbursements
Or
of
not even,
events.
not even reimbursements of that, but that conferences are visitation when approved by the board. So when we go to a conference, whether it's local
Mhm.
OSBA or national.
Yeah,
If it's approved by the board, X number of people go, we go every other year, whatever it is. That's paid, that a board member doesn't have to pay that out of pocket.
right.
But
Yeah.
alcohol.
And it even tells you here that you could, you know,
Sorry.
Come on.
but I would assume we'd also we give athletic passes to our board members. right?
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah, we do.
So
Yeah.
maybe it's more like other events like plays and things like that. I don't know.
So here's my recommendation to the board and committee. In that first paragraph, where board members may receive, we accept all brackets in that paragraph.
Mhm, mhm.
And then the other, I don't see any changes in the succeeding paragraphs, I should say. Like board members accept the strike of that second paragraph,
Mhm.
except the strikes in the third paragraph. I think we should keep the footnotes
Mhm.
Mhm.
and then take it forward to the board for discussion.
I think it's worthy of
And-
discussion, I don't know.
And it
Yeah,
says real clearly in the shaded stuff, a board member can decline to take it.
Well, and just because we approved this policy, this update,
Mhm.
a resolution would still have to be brought to the board
Right.
for stipends.
That's a
Right.
good call.
It would be a robust conversation.
That would be a very
I would
robust.
love to have it.
Mhm.
I would love to
So
have it.
we're accepting the chair part?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me look.
Which
Has been
part?
approved by the board. Oh, do you see the?
Middle paragraph?
Yeah,
is
the middle
not gray.
paragraph, paragraph two, there's a. When such attendance has been approved by the board chair.
Yeah, I would suggest strike out chair.
Yep.
Yeah. I was
Because
saying
board
to
chair
board.
doesn't approve.
Let's not accept those brackets.
Yeah.
Good catch. Thank you, Cindy.
Just something for me.
Everybody ready to move forward to corporal punishment?
Yeah,
Mm.
are we issuing a belt to all the principals?
We are not, thank you.
I still remember the days of the principal taking a paddle down
Uh-huh.
a student class to class.
It's-
and the rulers.
It is legal in many states.
That's
in our
in the
country
prison.
still.
That's in the prisons.
I had
Like,
my-
that, like 27 states, you can still use.
That
it
was
for
so
punishment.
Yeah.
7,
That's the last.
crazy.
Well, I remember I was-
Maybe it's lower now, I don't
I
know.
think a bamboo stick and it's on the back.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm, mhm.
I had my paddling when I was in first and second grade.
let's see here.
Corporal punishment, let's see here.
It's not good.
So I was looking through it and I thought there was something that I had. So the last paragraph, that a volunteer certainly cannot put their hands on a student, in any way, shape or form. And, shall be subject to sanctions and or prohibited from volunteer service in the district. I didn't know what sanctions meant.
I don't know what that means either, but they're prohibited usually. That's just a done deal.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
The
I
sanction
do-
might be that you
Maybe
can,
they can attend their child's conference.
Yeah,
okay,
But they're not trespassing.
They're not-
necessarily.
they're not
Maybe
going
they're
to.
not. I mean, I don't know.
They just can't volunteer anymore. And if it's severe enough, I have told parents, every time you wanna come, you have to get permission.
Yeah. for something
okay,
else.
okay, so that's part of the.
Yep.
You could follow those very tight sanctions. If that fails, you are
Yep.
prohibited.
Yeah, cause it
Okay.
gets really difficult when it's a parent volunteer who's done something wrong, but their child still attends the school.
Right,
'Cause then
okay.
it's still-
and I do like the updates here because there is those restrictions or allowances, I would say, in the law. In the ORS,
Mhm.
whatever, and
Mhm.
so without that, it's a very restrictive.
I'm just about to use the same word. I agree with you.
And then I do like the bracket language of the parent or legal guardian may use upon which they reasonably believe,
Yeah,
I mean.
And so
it's their
why,
kid.
It's weird that it's in this policy.
I
I know, I'm like-
yeah,
Well, but I
is
think
that-
it's probably
Well,
because it's in the
focus.
staff
You
volunteer,
can
so like
leave
if
if you wanted to.
if the parent is volunteering. And their kid is flipping out. And they
Mhm.
believe that they need to put their hands on their own kid
mm-hmm.
for the safety of their student or the
We
classroom.
would still report it if we felt like it constituted abuse, just as mandatory reporters.
And that's gonna be a judgment call, but
Yeah.
then you can go back.
And that's written in there.
Yeah, you can go back to the writing piece of it. It's here, that, okay, DHS doesn't see that they did unreasonable force on their own child.
Feels
Mhm.
weird to have it in the.
It does feel weird because it puts staff in a position, but the clarification, doesn't hurt anything to have that clarification in there.
And it's a reasonable use of force. It's not
Mhm.
like a over,
We're not beating the
we're
child
not
here.
beating the kid. It's like, hey, my kid.
It's subjective though.
It is. I'm
Yeah.
imagining, this is what I'm imagining, a parent of a kindergartner or first grader gets blown out that won't comply and the parent just does what we've all done as parents, picks the kid up, takes it to the car. Teachers aren't allowed to do that.
right,
Yep.
Mhm.
And it could be that the parent is volunteering because their kid is
Mhm.
maybe is not regulated and they have the ability to.
If there's questions, I could always ask country why they've included that.
Yeah, it feels weird.
Okay.
Like, why
How about we
why are we saying what parents?
Get some
think you can't do?
clarification
It's-
on that.
Bracketed language though.
Does
Right.
it even.
Like,
need
oh, we don't
does
have
it
to
need-
include
it.
does it- does
You
what
don't want
parents
to.
do with their own children need to be in our policy?
That's a good
That's
point.
my
Um,
first question. My
well-
second question
But it's
is,
on school property.
yeah,
does it say that?
Well, I mean, any of these
It's implied,
policies are.
yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, we go back to, yes, they have that, however, we're mandatory reporters. If we see something that is beyond just, I'm gonna pick my kid up and move them out of
Yeah.
the environment versus I'm gonna whack them,
Yeah,
that becomes a reporting issue.
exactly. And that's also called out in here,
Uh-huh,
unless the physical force constitutes abuse.
Right.
Defined by ORS, blah, blah, blah.
right, right. And the other place where I'm wondering if things happen, it's because it's it's
I don't know if this
part of the
is-
Yeah.
school, but it's part of not, is on and off the bus. Bus
Correct.
stop, on and off the bus, you know, things like that, where it extends farther out than the classroom.
Mhm.
Who sees it? The bus driver, who sees it if they have a aide riding on the bus with
Mhm.
certain students.
Yeah, I mean, what if the kid was
The
going off
kid
the
on the
bus and
yeah.
running out in the middle of the street while the parent was there? and,
Right,
uh,
or
they're
kid
gonna
doesn't
grab
wanna
their kid.
get on the bus.
Yeah.
Parent has to pick them up and put them on the bus.
Yeah, I can see why it's there. But do we want to like pause on this, review it?
I'll pause, I'll go ask Spencer what the.
Well, and what might be a slight thing. If it was the last paragraph instead of right in the middle.
Yeah. I agree, like
I
maybe,
think you could move, I mean,
yeah,
to
We
me, I'm
could
like,
move
it's
it.
bracketed language, I feel like you could move
Well,
it
I
to the end if
don't-
you want.
If it's. Does it put a teacher or staff member in a position where if that's in there, are they caught in a bind on the reporting of abuse of a child?
What I-
Because a parent picked up their kid and moved them.
well, remember, reporting
Mhm.
an abuse of a child is, as long as, you know, you're not maliciously reporting,
Mhm.
you know, they'll determine if it is
If it was-
abusive or not.
Yeah, that's
Our
true.
advice to staff is exactly what Sean's saying, if you think it was or is on the board.
That made you
make the call.
uncomfortable, make the call, yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
And this, that would then follow this corporal punishment policy too,
Yeah.
because if there is the physical force or whatever, the physical force constituted as abuse, if they have concerns, they could call DHS. DHS will investigate.
Mhm. They will.
right,
Mhm.
And so, but I do think maybe right above the superintendent shall inform all staff and volunteers, maybe moving it down there. So it's not like right in people's,
yeah, just
Space.
farther down.
Move it to, yeah, that's it,
And what's the age of a minor child? Just under 18?
yeah.
The only, and this is in a different area, but the only thing that I sometimes get stuck on, and perhaps you all think it's covered later. But when it talks about the exception, like physical pain or discomfort within participating in athletic competition, that's voluntary. I think this physical force shall not be used to discipline or punish. It almost feels like that should be repeated, because there's one thing to say, this is gonna be a really hard practice. And
yeah,
there's another thing, I shared a scenario with John where my son was playing lacrosse and the other team, they lost. It was a tough game.
yeah,
And we're leaving the stands. It was
Mhm.
Yeah.
well over 2 hours. And the coach of the other team makes those kids line up and start running. And
well,
it was gross. And they
Okay.
were exhausted and throwing up and every other
Mm.
thing. And I was like, this is not okay.
yeah.
I mean, I think there are coaches that still, I think, have an old school mentality.
I was gonna say, like, I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, that's what happened when I was in sports.
Right, but then there's also mostly
Yeah.
they're reasonable.
Yeah,
Like, they're
for
not gonna,
Mhm.
I don't know, I just think, what's the line? But I guess that could be covered under a staff member.
Mhm.
And then
Staff
this
members
next
offer
part,
complete
physical
reasonable
force should
support.
not be used to discipline or punish a student.
Yeah, I agree.
I
So
don't,
if somebody
do
made
you
a
think it's
complaint on
okay
something
there?
like that, I think.
was it being used
Yeah.
for disciplinary purposes, or was it just a part of?
A coach could argue that it's training.
Yep,
We could argue, people could argue differently, but we could also talk to the coach about it. If you're pushing kids to the point of throwing up, you might have crossed the line.
yeah,
Or being harmed, hurt.
Yeah.
yeah,
Physically
Mhm,
hurt.
Yeah.
mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, or, I mean, there's physically hurt, there's also. What are you doing emotionally to that kid? You know, if you're singling a student out,
I mean,
yeah, shaming, blaming,
Yeah,
all that kind of.
the old school coach mentality.
I'm hearing a couple of,
Mhm.
hearing a couple of things here. I'm hearing I could get, clarifications from Spencer. I'm hearing it bracketed and we could just drop it in general, and I'm hearing we could move it to the bottom of the page.
Yeah,
what's
For the
the,
parent piece.
yeah, the parent
We
piece.
have to go
Let's-
to the elementary meeting.
Mhm.
Let's put it to the bottom and let the board look
Yeah.
at it.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Bottom board, okay,
Yeah,
bottom.
Thank you for
take the
joining
board.
us.
thank you. Thanks for looking up stuff quickly for us.
Yeah.
And let's see, this last one is near and dear to your.
Yes, it is, yes.
And we have had lots of really good conversation about it with not a lot, we haven't had the opportunity to come to a consensus to bring to the board. Chris, you've got the background of you and Tracy and everybody talking about this in committee last spring. I wasn't in the committee
Right,
last
right.
spring.
So it's
Thank you.
been, short story, it's been inconsistently applied.
Last time.
Hasn't always come to the board
Mhm.
for, stuff, and part of my questions were, and I know Tracy did a whole bunch of stuff on it, you know, and
All
really
kinds
was,
of
I mean,
other stuff.
she came up with some really good stuff.
Mhm.
Two of my bigger things were, what's the time limit? My example was a building that was 100% remodeled in our district.
Mhm.
And in the remodel, the designation of the space was removed.
Mhm.
It's no longer there. It was put in place by board action
Mm.
many years ago. So it just went away. So is there a time limit? I noticed out at another one of our schools, there is a space that is designated. There was signage. At this point, I don't know that anybody really remembers who the person is. So again, back to that time limit. So some of this was the naming of the new facilities. I think this is getting more in line with it. The part that Tracy and I were talking about, that was the part that I wanted to know more about. How do we name a space in a school or district? And that's the one where we rebuilt the building. And the space is no longer named for that beloved teacher. And then the other one where it's in the space,
Mhm.
it didn't come through the board, it didn't come through everyone. And not everybody agrees with that space being named for that person.
Right.
They were well known, but were they well liked? I
Yeah.
don't know, you know, and then we also, no, gonna not go there,
So my question is this draft language basically what you're proposing
to add,
to add?
That is what
Yeah.
we're proposing.
Yeah.
And I
Because the
think,
one thing I don't like about the current language is that the names of living persons shall not be considered. I think there's some people that have had a great impact on our students, and maybe it's a library space or whatever,
Mhm.
that are living, that should, because I mean, what good is it to name somebody who's dead?
The only reason they haven't done it with living is if you turn around and do something
true.
really
Yeah.
and
bad.
the other thing though,
or crazy.
and this is for a board discussion, because I think board should have full control
Yeah.
over this, that's my opinion. Is we have 1,200 staff and 200 have done fantastic things for kids for however many long years, so we can find. You can have one person who's a example, well-known in the press, but you can also find 40 others who have had similar contributions who may not
Mhm.
get that naming, who are still alive and still working.
Right,
So that's a discussion that the board should have. I think this policy does give full control of the board to have those discussions. It
Mhm.
gives time limits. I agree with you, Chris. Tracy did a good job of tightening up and making recommendations.
Mhm.
So I think we got two options here. You two can read this again, Holly can read it again, and we can take it through a work session after that.
Mhm.
Or we can take a couple minutes here, read it thoroughly, and take it forward to a work session for the next level of this discussion, because I don't think one work session will be enough.
Right, and I like what she did where she put in the, it had a time limit. And there was also a time limit for waiting a little bit longer if someone was deceased, just to make sure nothing pops up
Mhm.
later.
Yep.
That you've named someone and things come out after you're dead. And then the plaque, the special honorary plaque, this was where I kind of was going, where I started really digging into it, how would we do this? With a board member that we had, that did something significant, and
Mhm.
the plaque would be nice.
So honestly, I think this discussion has been discussed almost every year that I've been on the board in the
Mhm.
last 6 years.
Probably brought
Yeah,
it
It's brought
up.
up by,
Because nothing happened with it. We brought it up and nothing happened.
I'm personally fine after reviewing this information, let's bring it forward to discussion,
Okay.
you know, because I'm not seeing any like red flags in here
Mhm.
from my perspective, or point of view, but
Mhm.
And I do like that it does allow people who are living, because I mean, we honestly do have living people, as far as I know, named for gyms and
Mhm.
stuff like
Well,
that.
and that could be, that would be the honorary plaque scenario,
Yeah,
because that's part of, that person can still be alive.
well,
To Sean's point though, I think schools have had license or taken license, they haven't had license to go ahead and name a gym without involving the board.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they did.
Yeah.
That's the gym
Mhm.
part that they named for the person, and it never came to the board.
yeah.
And I was kind of surprised when I saw that when I was there.
Mhm.
I knew about it, but I was just a little surprised.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I know of at least one gym that is named after a wonderful teacher in the community, but he's still living. Anyways,
Hmm,
Yeah.
okay.
so by, and I'll maybe just bring it up in the board discussion, but the one worry would be that if it's good for 5 years and it has to be renewed,
Mm-hmm.
who's in charge of that? So that way we,
Oh, you mean checking the 5-year
Oh, that's a
thing?
good point.
Who's the facilities person who just left? Okay.
you
It
know,
would be that person in that role, but we would have to keep,
you'd have
a
to
list
keep a
of the
record.
board.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that, I mean,
Well,
is
and
that
would it-
adding undue, like? work?
How? I don't know, how many of these then do we think we're gonna have if we open it up in this way? Cause right now I can think of, there's maybe 5
I can think
that are
that
out there.
this would.
But it's
would-
still the making sure those 5 are
Right,
reviewed
right,
every 5
every 5
years.
years.
Right, and if there's- and if there's changes of-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And if somebody leaves and it was their responsibility and then
Right,
does that drop
right.
off and.
so what we would do after this, that's a good question, I hadn't thought it through, is inventory the schools.
Mhm.
Where are we now? We wouldn't force the schools to change anything at this point, would be my recommendation, but now the time limit's there. Start it, put it on there, or we could say anything that's named now,
I think it's going forward.
yeah,
You
going,
know,
I
that
agree.
way it's easy, you
I
know,
agree.
whatever's there is there,
Mhm.
and then any naming going forward then goes on through this policy and gets on your list of renewals.
Renewals.
And maybe it's on the facilities manager to present it to the board, you know, but we need to make sure that the facilities manager actually has a list that they review and they have a time, like a reminder on their calendar.
Can we put an addendum in the policy? Current names, date initiated?
We could.
And
I-
that would be a
yeah.
place that would be one place where it would be, everyone could look at it. We would have to look at it however frequently
Mhm.
that we look at policy, but that could be one place.
I think,
Yeah.
let's take this, I agree with both of you, let's take it to the board and have a discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
Take it to the work session, it's time. And then we'll take from there whatever
Yeah.
processing thing we need to do.
Okay,
but yeah, there's just maybe some thinking things to think about before we bring it to the board in a couple of weeks of like, okay, wait, how would this actually work?
and
Yep.
then there'll be some of the places that have been designated that never came through anybody.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Did they just get an honorary pass at this point?
I
or
think
have to go
so,
back?
because,
Yeah.
because I mean,
And now they're on a timeline.
Now they're on the
I
top,
mean, look at the Helevis Gym at Barlow. It's
right?
been named that for a long time. Now we're gonna
Mhm.
start that 5-year renewal.
Okay,
or Bruce Richardson Gym at West Oak.
Yes,
or the Linda Eby Counseling Center.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gordon Russell.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
And then
Bruce.
the-
I'm gonna take that away.
the carved wooden
I know.
statue at Gordon Russell that needs to
Yeah.
have a different designation on it.
Okay.
Needs to have a different designation because it's not accurate.
I appreciate.
Scheduling a next meeting.
That's a good
Oh.
point.
Well,
Okay.
do we want, since Holly's not here, do we wanna touch base with her?
No, let's schedule it when she can't make it.
Let's do a doodle or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
that next one.
Because
So we can-
December, honestly, for me personally, is
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
Because
Well, and
it's a
there's-
short month.
it's a
I've
short
got
month. Yeah.
Lots of, you know, we have coastal law and I've got lots of
Mhm.
travel.
Okay.
And selfishly basketball games for Spencer, so.
And do we want to try, and I don't know if Thursdays are a day that is not gonna work for Holly moving forward, is there, just, do we wanna go back to Fridays? I know aside from the second and fourth ones, right?
Mhm.
Work
I think
meetings,
it sounded like
Do
this
we-
one was
a
it an
one-off?
unusual
Yeah, I
for
don't know.
Holly, I
have to
think,
Double check with her, but.
you know, as long as they stay in the mornings, I'm okay.
Let's just
Okay.
start that email thing and see. what we
Yeah.
can-
Yeah,
Send
And
out
I
some
kind of, I
morning
would
options.
agree, yeah, that, I mean, December is busy.
I can put some in there, but focus on January. options
Yeah,
If that's
yeah.
better for people.
Wait, why am I out of town one week that week?
How are we, and so some of these were optional ones that we've already adopted, which is why we brought them for
Mhm.
review, but I think
Right.
we're through all of our required ones.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
And
and,
so that's why we were going, okay, which of the optional ones
right,
have we already approved? So we need to update those because we have
right,
them on
and now
file.
since we've had legislative session, there'll be
Yeah.
some, cause there's some. The big one that's coming up that'll be really fun, we'll probably have to have a whole work session on it, is the board accountability. Legislation.
So for me, if we want to do it on a Friday, the one Friday that I'm not out of town.
Is this December you're talking
Yeah,
about?
is the 12th.
December 12th.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe, I don't know.
And is that where are we at now?
That's like,
No,
a-
we've got
that's like a
we got
month
lots
away.
of time,
Review,
okay.
yeah,
That's okay with me right now.
we can ask Holly, I'm looking at
Mhm.
my December twelfth,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and then,
But if that doesn't work,
Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't work for Holly, I'll just send out a doodle poll.
Okay.
December
Okay.
12th may be a challenge for Sarah and I, but go ahead and try to schedule it anyway, and then we'll
Okay.
see what we can do.
Okay.
it's
Okay.
after the board meeting, because I think the board meeting is.
It's the
It's the
11th.
11th, it is.
Yeah,
We just have our, our monthly facilities meeting, which I think we can adjust, so.
Okay.
we'll be
Well,
okay.
let's just see how Holly is.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna
And-
get into the principals meeting. Thank you both today.
okay, all right.
This-
thanks. Okay.
Hey, well, 11 minutes later than. I
There you
thought,
go.
But